I'm ready. So we're going to go live in
Are we looking good?
2, 1.
Good morning from REMAX Capital Properties. I'm Stephanie Prescott. I am a wife and I have 3 kids and I own REMAX together with my husband, and we have amazing agents here. And I'm joined by one of them, Chase.
Yep.
Tell them your story.
I'm Chase Rowley. I have lived in Wyoming for most of my life. I think I moved here in 01, so wasn't born here, but have lived here for most of my life. And yeah, I just recently became full-time at REMAX. So I was at the Wyoming Public Health Lab for 5 years before this, and then kind of jumped into the real estate for a little bit part-time, and then just moved over fully. So.
I did not know that you moved here in 2001.
Yeah. Yep. My dad was in the military, so.
Okay. So 2001, what high school did you graduate from?
East High School.
Well, there's that. No, I'm just kidding. Okay, all right. Well, those are good people too. I'm just teasing. Good friendly rivalry we always have here at REMAX between Central, East, and South with all of our parents and the kids. And us. Obviously, they're all awesome. But it's fun to tease back and forth. And we're live today coming to you talking about Cheyenne real estate. And today our topic we want to really focus on is first-time home buyers. That's always one of my very favorite topics, probably because I loved it as a young first-time home buyer. And Chase recently is a first-time home buyer. All of my kids will be in that in the next few years. And we get to help them all the time. So many of our agents get to. Just had a friend here at the office say that she knows of an 18-year-old who just bought their first house. So it is still happening. Sometimes the world wants to tell you that it can't be done, but it can. So that's our subject today, a lot of first-time homebuyer information. And again, we're live from REMAX Capital Properties. So if you have any questions or comments, please put them in and we'll be happy to get them answered. And you can also watch later and ask us any questions or reach out to us at any time at 635-0303, or our website is CheyenneHomestore.com. So live today with Chase, and we're going to talk about first-time home buyers. So you said you're doing some open houses.
Yes. Yep.
When are you doing your open house?
So we're actually doing like a REMAX wide one tomorrow evening, and that is going to be from 5 to 7. So there's houses like all over town that are going to be open. We're just kind of trying something new with doing a weekday, because usually they're on weekends, but you know, with Memorial Day coming up and graduations and everything, sometimes that gets a little hectic on the weekends to be doing that. So
right.
We'll try a weekday. So yeah, just look out for us. They're open all over. And then also we'll have them on Saturday and Sunday. So if you're not going out of town, we'll still be around.
Right. So open houses tomorrow night, 5 to 7. Watch our Cheyenne Open Houses Facebook page or our REMAX Capital Properties Cheyenne, Wyoming Facebook page for more details on that. But with graduation in town comes so much. We have 7 kids graduating out of our REMAX office. I mean, their parents work here and they're graduating 7 seniors. And I'm so excited about that, except for them, we'll miss them in sports and things like that. But very excited about that. We decided to do open houses tomorrow night, 5 to 7. So be sure to watch for that. Reach out if you have any questions. So some open houses, because we don't want to miss or make you interfere with your Memorial Weekend plans or your graduation plans the following weekend. And then last week we graduated all the UW people. You went to UW.
Yep, I did go to UW.
And what's your degree? I never can even pronounce it. What did you go to school for?
Microbiology. And then I also have a degree in human nutrition and food. So.
Human nutrition and foods. So there you go. That's a little tidbit about Chase. So you can talk to her about real estate. You can talk to her about germs.
We can have all of the conversations.
I know. I sure do. But anyway, wash your hands. I think that's what she's going to tell you,
Please.
right?
Please do.
So we're here live today to talk about first-time home buyers and just what's going on in our community with open houses, graduations, Memorial Day, maybe planting. I'm very excited to plant some flowers this weekend. But I wanted to talk about what it requires to be a first-time home buyer and what are some of the options that are available for a first-time home buyer. Obviously, it doesn't matter which generation you are. It doesn't matter when you bought. You're going to be like, either I can't believe the prices today, or I wish I'd bought then. And so that's been such a part of the American dream, homeownership. But it can feel out of touch or out of reach right now. So I talked a lot with my husband when I was preparing for this about what it requires. And he really thought you should have $10,000 to $15,000 saved up. And you can find some first-time homebuyer lending options. So make sure when you're working with your agent and your lender that you repeatedly ask what you can do, what options are out there for you. It never hurts to ask, and to ask a couple of times. Yeah. So even if you were to find a place or a lending option that was a 0% down, you still are going to have some different fees, and you'll still have to hire a moving truck, and even if your buddies do it, you're still going to have to buy them some beer to help you. Whatever, you're going to have some costs. And so $10,000 to $15,000 would be something you could aim for. And so then you think, oh my gosh, that's an overwhelming number. So how could I get there? And as a follower of Dave Ramsey's Total Money Makeover and his baby steps, you would just have to make that choice. So if you're aiming to save $10,000 or $15,000, you just need to make a decision of what you're going to do each week or each month. You might need a little side hustle. You might need to cut back on some of the things. All of us have all those apps.
Yep.
The budgeting, big deal, right? Did you have to do a budget when you were going to buy your house?
A little bit.
I know we'll get into that, but
yeah, I had saved up quite a bit of money when I was working in high school, so I was able to and worked throughout college. But
well, that's
great.
Good for you.
Sure. Yeah.
So there are young people like you out there that are doing the things to save the money, and so don't feel like it's out of reach, and don't listen to that when it comes time to talk about what you need to do. But if you were buying a $350,000 house, and you did put 20% down, you're going to need the $15,000. But also don't feel pressured into buying a house, even though it has been part of the American dream. And it is still, and it's one of the very top wealth building opportunities for you. It can also be expensive if you had a furnace go out or refrigerator go out or those kind of things. So get with your agent. We're here all the time at REMAX to be able to help guide you in any of that. A book recommendation, whether you read it or you get it in audio, is Dave Ramsey's Total Money Makeover. I think it's really a wonderful book if you get on track with your finances really young. No matter what you do from a housing standpoint, you'll be grateful for that. So that would be one of my most important things that I would recommend for a first-time home buyer, is take control of your finances and just set a goal of what you need to save. What about you? I know you said you bought a home. Tell me about it.
So I guess it was a few years ago now, but time flies. So I bought in 2021, and that was, as we all know, kind of a rough time trying to buy a house because everything was off the market in like 2 days. Inspections were being waived and all that. So
a tough time for buyers.
Yes. So it was kind of a wild ride, but I got pretty lucky because one of my friends, her parents were redoing a house.
Okay.
And they were like, we'll sell it to you and not even put it on the market. Oh. So that kind of worked out really nicely to not have to compete with other potential buyers. And I could really kind of like take my time and like go through inspections and have all that done. So, but I would, after going through that process, I think like what you said with making sure you ask questions with stuff that you don't understand, or
right.
Especially financially, because you don't want to be stuck in a spot where you don't realize how much you're going to be paying a month, or
right.
Where your money's going. And that's really important stuff to know before buying.
Well, and even I think you mentioned to me that it was the same agent on both sides.
Yeah. So I was the customer in that situation, which was a little rough for being a first-time home buyer. I wish that I would have, if I could go back, that's probably something I would change, with having my own representation, because you want someone that's looking out for your best interests and there that you can ask questions and just feel comfortable, instead of being like, I don't know what you're allowed to tell me. And
right.
More so they were representing the seller. So
yeah, and so that works out. A lot of times our agents will have the seller and the buyer. But your point is, as a first-time home buyer, you had a lot of questions and didn't feel comfortable to quite ask them.
Yeah.
Not like anything shady went on.
No.
You're just like, in hindsight looking back, like you would have liked to have really had an advocate in your corner.
Just as first time, because it's a lot. You don't really know what all is going on, and there's a lot going on behind the scenes and stuff, and with inspections and the offers and all that. And so Yeah,
the negotiation part of it.
yeah.
When you're negotiating on your inspections or you're negotiating on any of it,
Yeah, closing costs.
you're like, oh, and it wasn't listed. So you really were,
Yeah.
it worked out beautifully. Like
It
you're
did,
really
yeah.
happy. And now as an agent, you're able to tell that you got a great deal
Yeah.
and you're happy with it and everything else. But as a very recent first-time home buyer, who was the customer in that situation, you might do it differently.
Yes.
So if you have a first-time home buyer that you know and they are looking for representation, Chase would be amazing to help them. So just give her a call here at REMAX, 635-0303, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so that's, I love the stories of the first-time home buyers. Like I mentioned, an 18-year-old just bought a house that we heard about. And that's just really a huge thing that someone can be focused on and working on. And so it's really a part that's important to me because I would like to see my kids be able to buy homes. And then you also, when you're young, you don't know where you're going to be. So if you're not going to be in a house, for how long do you think you need to be in a house for it to be financially worth
I
it?
feel like 2 or 3 years.
Yeah. And sometimes when you're young, you're not sure where you'll be. But if you know you're going to be somewhere for that length of time, and you have saved up, and you feel comfortable that if there's a repair that needs made,
Yeah.
you can do it.
Yeah. Like college, if you're gonna be at UW and Laramie for 4 years and you're able to financially, that would be a really good idea instead of renting. But
Right. We have a couple of listings in Laramie right now. Some of them have really moved quickly recently.
yeah.
So that market is strong. Probably people getting ready to send their kids over there.
Yep.
Yeah. So what I've always heard too, last year we did a lot of focus group information on what first-time homebuyers are looking for right now. And turnkey properties, like either they don't have the skill set or knowledge or money on how to make a lot of repairs, whereas that's different than, in the past. A lot of times people bought the fixer-uppers. And so you have to figure out what your skill set is and what you can handle, and then that'll help to determine your price range. But also being able to have pets. When I was younger, it was like a deal breaker.
Yeah.
You didn't get an animal in a rental, and I think there's a little bit more leniency on that today. Did you have any pets when you were in college?
Not in college, no.
Yeah. So I do think there are more and more people with pets and they want to rent. And so one thing that came out of our focus groups is that first-time home buyers are buying houses because they want to be able to have their pets.
Yeah.
And they want to have as many as they want. They don't want anyone to tell them. And the other thing was decorating. They want to be able to decorate how they want. If they want to put a picture or screws in the wall or...
That's true, yeah.
Or, I don't mean duct tape. I'm not great with all that. I don't know what it is. But if you want to, like stick something on the walls, you don't want to have to get permission for it. So if you have the finances and that you fall into that category, then that's why other people will buy. Also, there are a lot of expenses with buying. You are responsible for the updates. If you want to remodel, if you want to change a bathroom out, if the cement cracks, you fix it. If the sprinkler system goes out or you want to put a sprinkler system in, you do that, but you're in charge of it. And if you have already gotten control of your finances, then you can do it, right?
Yeah.
So first-time home buyers, we're live today at REMAX Capital Properties. I'm Stephanie Prescott.
I'm Chase Rowley.
Yeah, and Chase has been an agent with us for just a few months.
Yeah.
But you've been around real estate, having bought your own house, and she worked for the county health. So if you can do county health during 2020 and 2021, like she's the agent you want in your corner, right? Because you have a lot of patience.
Yeah. Yes. A lot of patience.
So what are your top 3 tips to prepare right now for someone?
Oh man. I think, like you said, with the financing, budgeting, making sure you have some money for, a down payment, for closing costs, for all that, inspections, all that. That would be a big tip for me. And then finding an agent that you like and trust and will work well with and feel comfortable asking questions. And, just you want to have someone on your side.
Right. Well, if you're somebody's watching, and you're a grandparent who's going to talk with your grandchild about buying, or you're a parent going to talk to your kid about buying, or you just individually are listening and you want to buy, what should a person expect from their agent?
Well, they're just there to look out for you altogether. So they're gonna try to find out what you're looking for, your budget. You know, they're gonna just first find you properties that are matching your criteria of what you're looking for, and they're mostly always there to show you those homes, to help you out with any questions you might have on them, to help you out with, I mean, if they can't answer loan questions, we know so many lenders and stuff that are like very willing to help and very informative on that. So yeah.
I would add also communication. Like I want someone who's a very straightforward communicator with me. I don't care if it's a phone call or a text or an email. I just want to know what's happening.
Yeah.
I don't want to have to seek the information out. I would want to know. And that is what would create trust for me, is do what you say and more. And so I am always grateful that REMAX was again voted the #1 most trusted agents in the United States and Canada. And I believe this is the 4th year in a row. And so I know in my chair, I'm not a real estate agent, but I'm around them, and I know and trust is such a big deal for me. Like I have to be able to trust you. And communication, doing what you say more, and showing up when you say you're going to show up, and having the information, and if you don't know it, getting the information. And just, I think negotiations, it's such an emotional time when you're trying to negotiate the inspections or roof or just the feeling of it. I was pregnant with Elizabeth when Steve and I bought our first house, and you can well imagine I was a little stressed out because I was not getting an offer, or excuse me, I wasn't getting an answer on the offer we submitted on this house, and it was 2002. So I'm pregnant out here, I want this house, I'm not getting an answer fast enough because it wasn't really listed, same thing like you talked about. But it was a friend, and they were trying to decide what it would be worth. So anyway, we ended up with the house, but it's a really stressful time, so communication is huge.
Yeah, I really like that, just keeping your clients in the loop, you know, because it is nice to know where they are in the process.
Right. Kind of what you were saying, that you felt like you had questions, like going back. You had some questions that maybe you would have asked differently or been more aggressive about if you had had your own representation. So it really does matter who you work with, and who's right for you may not be right for me, and vice versa. So make sure you interview some agents. Like no agent is going to be upset if you talk to them and tell them you're interviewing other agents and that these are your criteria, and then you kind of see if they can match that, and then you decide just who feels right for you and just go forward from there. So, you know, if someone called you today and wanted to get started on buying their first house, what would you do?
Well, I would probably want to like sit down with them, have a little conversation about what they're looking for, any concerns they have, or just kind of figure out what they're looking for. And then from there, which is probably start sending them some places and, you know, start looking. That's the fun part. But definitely having that first conversation, trying to get everything, you know, figured out of what they're looking for and what they are expecting from the transaction and from the agent and everything. Yeah,
or, you know, figuring out their budget, their timeline. It sometimes feels like there's not a lot of urgency in the market versus when you bought in 2021. I mean, you couldn't even let it hit the market and it was off the market. So now, you know, you don't know, and it never fails. Something can be on the market for several months, and then as soon as you're ready to look at it, it might go under contract. And so just having those conversations and knowing what they can expect, I think, is important.
Yeah, I mean, you never know, like, it's just different for every situation, but if they're currently in a house and it's contingent on selling theirs, you know, and so maybe they have more time or less time, or they're moving here, they need to be here ASAP. Just don't really know. So
what happens if you're in a lease? On a rental? Like, I'm in an apartment, I have a lease, but I am ready to buy a home, I've saved up my money, I want to do it. If you're a renter, how much time would you give your landlord that you might be moving out?
I would probably I usually did like a few months, you know, just to like kind of give them, I feel like it's nice to give them a heads up that you're leaving so they can know that they're going to be listing it again and get a new renter in there and everything, take a look. And then, also it can take a little while, you know, to close a transaction. So
kind of a tricky time frame. So I think the lease that we have is a 30-day You
Okay.
need to give 30 days written notice. But
Yeah.
if you know in 60 days, that gives you time and you might be able to get out even a little sooner. I don't know. It would depend on your landlord and it would depend on your lease. But if you are currently renting a home and you have an interest in moving and you kind of have a budget or you do have a budget in mind and you do have some money saved up and you know the direction that you want to go and you're going to be in Cheyenne for the next 2 to 3 years, then reach out.
Yeah.
And we can help you walk through the process. And even if you needed us to take a look at your lease to see how many days you need to give your landlord. But it's generally you start looking at homes, you finally find one that could take 30 days to 60 days to 90 days or longer, depending on what you're looking for. And then you still are under contract normally for 30 to 45 days. So that's kind of a time frame if you're renting and wanting to buy.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
So that's it for us today. Here we're live again from REMAX Capital Properties in Cheyenne, Wyoming. Stephanie Prescott.
Chase Rowley.
We just want to tell you thank you for joining us today, and we want to tell all the graduates in Cheyenne and Laramie and LCCC, congratulations. We're very proud of you. We think that you're making great decisions and choices to go and get that college degree.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Have fun planting your flowers this weekend.
Yes.
And if you do want to stop at the REMAX open houses, they will be going on tomorrow night from 5 to 7. And just check our Facebook pages, Cheyenne Open Houses or REMAX Capital Properties, and you'll get your details there. Or give us a call at 635-0303 to get some information. Have a great rest of your week.
Bye.